Good morning, everyone. This is Jessica Canty. I am your life and career strategist. How are you doing, Cubicle Country? I sure hope this Tuesday morning is finding you feeling well, refreshed. It was a bit crisp outside my house this morning, and so I'm hoping that that crisp air has renewed your energy and you're ready to continue to be excellent. Welcome, you all. It's Tuesday morning. I've already had my coffee. I'm excited because I don't know about y'all. It's pumpkin season, so I had my first pumpkin muffin of the season. I am a pumpkin addict. Okay, I look forward to this time of year. But more importantly, I look forward to this time of the day, this time of the week to sit and to pause from being excellent to have conversations with you all. Cubicle Country, a a community of career seekers who are excited about working on purpose and working in purpose, having rewarding careers, making sure that when we look back at our career, we can say we did a good job, that we are fulfilled in everything that we did. So today on this morning's Careers and Coffee Chat, I'm excited. I want to talk about bad career advice. Bad career advice. I know that sounds sort of contrary to our conversation because we always want to talk about positive and healthy career advice. But it's important to note, it's important to be able to assess when we get advice whether or not it's good career advice, whether or not it's career advice that's going to propel our career aspirations. And so a member of Cubicle Country said, Jessica, let's talk a little bit about career advice. I gave someone in my family some bad career advice. So I would love for you to talk about bad career advice. So this one goes out specifically to you. Thank you for bringing this to Cubicle Country. I'm excited to talk a little bit about it. Before I do, though, I want to let you know that if you join our private Facebook group, Cubicle Conversations, you can head over there and right after we finish chatting, I give out exclusive offers when we are rolling out new resources, when we're rolling out new programs. We address it with Facebook first, or our Facebook group, Cubicle Conversations. And that's really how you get connected with that one on one and real time advice. You can check out our Careers and Coffee Chats on Tuesday mornings, listen to our podcast, but there's something uniquely special about joining our Facebook group. That's because I'm on there checking consistently about what are your concerns. You can send in a question just for Cubicle or for our coffees or Careers and Coffee Chat, or you can just send a question to me and I'd love to reach out to you because more than likely the questions that you're asking, someone else has that same question. So just by you speaking up, you are opening opportunities for them to excel in their career as well. Okay, so let's get into it. You could type down in the chat box, tell me, have you ever received any bad career advice? And what was it? Tell me in the chat. Have you ever received any bad career advice? And what was it? So even if you're catching this on a replay, I would love to hear from you. What career advice that you get, and you've wound up finding out, nah, that wasn't the best wisdom to share with me. Just in case you're a little shy, I'll share my bad career advice first. I had someone who was close to me share with me some career advice about a career challenge I had. I was leaving one job and it was to pursue a higher level of education. And my relationship with my supervisor wasn't the best. Her idea of commitment and my idea of commitment to work was completely different. Her idea of commitment was to put personal aside, meaning that she would miss activities for her family because she had to work. This is not me sending any judgment towards her. This is just her idea of commitment, and my idea of commitment was different. I was just about to go to grad school at the time, so my level of responsibility was a little bit different than hers. I at the time before I graduated grad school took vacations really enjoyed doing vacations. And so before I started working there, I'd already had some vacations scheduled because I was a college student. You know, college students, they think a little bit differently than those who have already graduated. You're still accustomed to summer breaks and winter breaks and Thanksgiving break. And in the real world, that's called vacation days that you have to earn and have to take. So let me continue with the story. This particular supervisor was consistently wanting to give me some career advice, and I was really appreciative of that. I was able to get some wisdom from her. But at the time that it was time for me to make the decision to choose school or work, I decided to choose school because my work schedule at the time wasn't conducive with me being a stellar and committed student. And that was really important to me at the time. So I gave my 2 weeks notice and wound up having to alter it because there was something I had to address with my school. So I notified my supervisor and I said, the 2 weeks that I gave you is going to have to be altered. My apologies. But this is it's gonna be more rapid. Welcome, y'all. We're talking about bad career advice. So type in the chat box if you ever received any bad career advice and what was it. So today we're talking about bad career advice. Right now I'm telling you the bad career advice I got. And then I'm going to tell you 3 ways to tell if you are receiving bad career advice. So hang around. If you're catching this on the replay, hit pause, hit rewind, make sure you jot down a note or two. Okay, here we go. So I decided that I was going to focus on my graduate level work, and I couldn't do that and maintain this particular employment. So I let my boss know I'm going to be leaving. I wrapped up all the projects that I was in charge of. I let them know that this is what is needed to be done going forward because they hadn't hired anybody to be my replacement. So typically I would say if you can and you're willing, you can train your replacement if you know that you're leaving the job. I have no problem, if you're passing along a case, if you're passing along responsibilities, having a conversation with the person who's going to be in that position, especially if it's something that you're excited about going to another position. I highly encourage that. That's good career advice. The bad career advice that I got was I left some of my belongings in the office because I had to move a little bit quicker than I thought. And I was trying to make some arrangements with my supervisor to gain access to the items that I had. And I had a family member tell me that I needed to send an email to that supervisor and tell her off because she was making it particularly difficult for me to gain access to my belongings. The family member said, you should get an email and tell her, that this is an HR issue and that you would be willing to sue her. And that, just tell her everything that she essentially did wrong because you're quitting the job anyway. You don't have to worry about her thoughts and feelings about it because she can't penalize you. She's not going to be your boss anymore. Boy, was that some bad career advice. I followed it. I let them craft the response to this particular supervisor and I followed through with it. And I got the nastiest response back from that supervisor. And in hindsight, it was almost appropriate, if you will, because the email didn't read like I was trying to foster a relationship. Like there was something that in the future, maybe that could have been an opportunity for me. So now this particular company has a bad taste in their mouth because I followed someone's bad career advice. Don't be like me. One of the 2 things that I think everyone's experienced is embarrassing moments and missed opportunities. And boy, was that an embarrassing moment for me. And it's definitely a missed opportunity because now that bridge has been burned. That relationship was not nurtured in the way that it should have been. Even if you're quitting a job, you never know when you want to go back. You never know when you're going to be sitting at the same decision table with that particular person. So you want to be very, very careful about how you leave jobs. So I'm going to give you 3 tips to consider when you're getting advice. Wow, I actually had a reservoir. Yeah, I know. Who is that? Rick? I don't want to mispronounce your name, but absolutely, it was bad career advice. But I was young, and I just thought, well, this person has been in their career for a long time, and so they would know better than I would about that. But boy, was it not. So I'm gonna tell you 3 tips to know that it's bad career advice. Okay. I'm gonna look over here at my notes because I can get excited. I can go on a roll on that one. So the first tip is to be careful with advice from family and friends. Be careful with career advice from family and friends. And this is why I say that this is one tip to avoid bad career advice. A lot of times we trust family and friends because they know who we are. They know our ups and our downs. They know when we're cranky. They know what we're good at. They know what we can work on it. And so we spend a lot of time around them. And we think that because they spend a lot of time around us, then they're going to give us the best advice. The truth is, they may not be equipped to give you the best advice. And they also may be giving you advice that can stroke your ego, that can deflate your ego, or that can put a hurdle to your success. So when you're getting career advice, the first thing you want to ask is, who is this advice coming from? If it's coming from family or friends, you have to check and say, okay, is this to deflate my ego? Is this to inflate my ego? Is this something that could put a hurdle to my success? And it's not to say that, dad is trying to, dad is going to get in the way of you being successful, or your sister is going to get in the way of you being successful, or your cousin is going to tell you something or steer you wrong. You just got to be very, very careful, because oftentimes, and I've had this happen for us, especially with my the clients who come to me who are in graduate school or who are going to, graduating from undergrad, because the most people who've been looking at their resumes is typically either their guidance counselor or their parents. And sometimes their parents don't look at the resume and see all those intricate things that a person who has a career in looking at resumes and preparing you for it would. So you want to be very, very careful. They might be an expert in you, but they might not be an expert in you being an employee or an entrepreneur. And I can't tell you how many, I've had 2 family members who deflated my self-esteem around even being a life and career strategist. That's bad career advice. I'm passionate about helping people. And if I had listened to their advice, there'd be people who are be stuck and miserable in their jobs. So by deflating my ego and my self-esteem, that was actually getting in the way of other people's success. So that's tip 1. Be careful about advice that you're getting from family and friends. Tip number 2 is to check the fruit. Check the fruit. Now, what do I mean by that? Some people, I don't know if the kids still say this, but they'll say, give me the receipts. I want to see the receipts. I want to see your resume is what they're saying. What has this advice produced in their lives? What has their advice produced in their lives? It's sort of like that thought process around going to a dentist who has unhealthy teeth, or going to a hairdresser who is balding, going to a manicurist and their hands are not neatly manicured, because you're checking the fruit. You're saying, well, if you can't produce results in your own life, how do I know that your advice is going to produce results in my life? And what type of results is it going to produce in my life? It's sort of like the person who's had 10 bad relationships telling you how you're being bad in a relationship, not necessarily saying how these are the things I should have done differently. If they're telling you to do the exact same thing that they've done, not this is what you should have done differently, and they've had 10 failed relationships, you got to check the fruit. You have to see, what has this advice produced in their life? How did it work for them? And tip number 3 is to check the motivation. Check the motivation. This is how you can tell whether or not it's bad advice. So what I mean by that is that there's sometimes people will give you career advice and it's all about competition, and if I'm being transparent, I had a few years ago, I had an interaction with a colleague, and I realized that the wisdom that she was sharing with me was because she viewed me as competition. I thought we were getting to know each other. I thought that we were beginning to work with each other on a team. And boy, was I surprised when the receipts came out, when the fruit came out, and when the advice was tried and tested. And so you always have to check the motivation, because sometimes people can give you advice and it's great advice, but it feels bad. It feels like that's got to be bad advice because it's something that's challenging us. So when your e-board tells you to do something different with your career, when you're a mentor, you're a role model, your sponsor, and your coach say do something different, it's not bad advice because it makes you uncomfortable. It's probably pushing you to a greater level in your career. But check the motivation. Is this person really trying to speak into my career? Are they trying to tell me to do something different? Right? Welcome you all. Welcome you all. Yes, you have to check those receipts. You want to do your research and look at the reviews. And sometimes the reviews may not be something that's, completely public, because sometimes, just you have to respect privacy. So sometimes it may not be public, but you can just look at their lives. So if they're giving you advice, like I said, if it's a dentist giving you advice, and the dentist doesn't have clean teeth, or they've got stained teeth, or they're missing teeth, you might want to check if this is a reputable company to work with. Okay, so here we go. The 3 things you need to check to see if the advice you're given is bad career advice. Number 1, be very careful. Welcome you all. So happy to see you. Number 1, be very careful when family and friends give you career advice. It may be well-meaning, but it may be something that's uninformed, and it may be something there to inflate your ego, deflate your ego, or set up to put a hurdle, like a mindset hurdle around that. We talked a little bit of mindset hurdles probably a few months ago, and there's actually an episode on the podcast about mindset hurdles, because families can teach us a lot about careers, and be well-meaning, but not realize that that's not the right career advice for you. Okay? Like I said, I had a family member tell me, you don't need to be a life and career strategist because there's too many people out there who are career coaches. It's enough. There's enough of them out there. But if you go to the grocery store, there's several different brands of bread. There's several different brands of toothpaste. There's several different brands of soap. And there's still more companies making those products because they all have their unique way of giving that service. So if I had listened to that advice, there'd be people who were stuck in their jobs, feeling unfulfilled, feeling underestimated, feeling like they're not getting paid their worth. So be careful when you get advice from family and friends. Number 2 is you want to check the fruit. Let me see the receipt, like the children say. How has this advice worked in your life? How have you applied it? What was the result of you applying this advice? And number 3 is to check the motivation, because sometimes people see the potential and purpose in your life, and they will purposely try to wreck that potential by giving you advice that is wrong for you. Yes, the more people love you, the more haters will come around. The more time you sit around trying to be a perfectionist and get things together, the more potential you're showing to others. And there's some hungry people out there who want to usurp your potential. They don't know that, of course, favor is designed just for you. There are unique spaces that are designed just for you. But that doesn't mean that they won't try to give you some advice that's going to hinder you from being excellent. All right, you all, this conversation is not over. Just on this platform, you can join me over in our Facebook group so we can talk a little bit about that. You can tell me, Jessica, someone gave me some advice. Is this bad career advice? Or what do I do now that I've received this bad career advice? What's the next step I should do? I love chatting with you all, Cubicle Country. Get back out there, do something excellent, and work in purpose. I will talk to you all soon.